We have to understand another point, which is that Adam himself was not created on his true destined level. Adam himself in Gan Eden was already lowered, mushpal, hashpala, was already lowered from his true inner level. Adam was created in Adam's true level, his potential level was already created before Gan Eden. Already in Gan Eden he was mushpal, he was lowered from his true essential level. It was this lowering from his true essential level, which is his Mekoach, that made him liable to sin. In Gan Eden he was already like in a volatile level. He was liable to sin, but evil was external to him. He had the ability to bring destruction on himself, but he wasn't yet subject to destruction. He was at a middle level. We'll learn in a minute that Adam was at a middle level. We've gone down to the bottom level, and Adam was supposed to go up to an even higher level. That was his test. This higher level, which we call level 3, we'll call it level 1, and then level 2 is Gan Eden, now third level. This higher level was Hashem already created everything potentially. And that's Adam's true level. When he was first brought into actual existence in Gan Eden, he was already mushpal, he was already lower than the true level he was supposed to be. That's why he was subject to evil. There was a volatility that meant he could fall. And Adam was supposed, who, because of his greatness, all the souls of man come from Adam. And Adam, because of his greatness, the effect of his actions was far greater than ours. The greater the person, the greater the effects of their actions. The Rambam describes, says, when Yosef ben Uziel used to learn Torah, the birds would fly overhead, they get singed. Another person learns Torah, you can go to the Mir, the great place. It's a good place, but 2,000 people learning on the base midrash, or hundreds of people, and sometimes you see a pigeon fly overhead. Yeah, and have you been in the Mir? Nothing happens to it. And one individual, as Uziel, would learn. So the greater a person, the greater the effect of his actions. What was the effect of Moshe Rabbeinu's actions? What was the effect of, in our time, the greater the person? So Adam Arishon, his greatness was, all the souls of man on Arishon, he affected the entire universe. And his test in Gan Eden, we can't really, again, understand the test he had. Whatever it was, he had to rectify everything in that test he had. And if he had done so, he would have already gone up to this predestined level that was already created. The third level, the first level, the highest level, up, and he would have perfected himself, perfected the entire creation, and then there wouldn't have been any evil at all in the world. There wouldn't have been the possibility to sin and bring destruction. That was the level he was supposed to reach by overcoming his test, reaching his highest first level. And that, Rabbi says, the level that we eventually will reach in Olam Haba. That level of, Adam was in the middle. He had the test, he was already subject to sin. If he'd succeeded, he would have gone up and perfected everything in that one test on Erev Shabbos, yes.
So you take questions and answer, okay?
Maybe it's short.
According to that pshat, did Adam Rishon internalize the Yetzer Hara, or was it created from fresh? Because the Nachash was arguably the Yetzer Hara, but it was internalized after the sin.
If Adam had eaten from the tree of life and not from the tree of knowledge, he would have drawn ever closer to the holiness of Hashem, basking in the splendor of his holiness for all eternity, without anything holding him back. Instead, when he ate from the tree of knowledge, so I mentioned start earlier. This concept allows us to understand the true nature of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden. Certainly, these verses do not contradict their plain meaning. The trees were real trees, the fruits were real fruits, and the eating was real eating. However, both the fruits and the eating were elevated and refined in a way that we cannot possibly imagine, since our thoughts can only conceive of physical things. Yet we know that even our physical fruits have certain properties which can be used for healing or other purposes. These natural properties can have remarkable effects. So too, the fruits of these two trees had special properties that Hashem gave them. The fruit of the tree of life gave a person true knowledge, as well as the ability to cleave to Hashem, love Him and understand His holy ways. It also freed the soul from physical desires. The tree of knowledge had the opposite effect. Its fruits caused a person to become subject to base physical desires and liable to commit all kinds of sin. If Adam had eaten from the tree of life, and not from the tree of knowledge, he would have drawn ever closer to the holiness of his Creator, basking in the splendor of his holiness for all eternity, without anything holding him back. Instead, when he ate from the tree of knowledge, became immersed in the desires of the body and filled with the love of physicality. He was therefore punished measure for measure, losing his exalted level of spirituality and becoming predominantly physical, subject to the limited lifespan decreed upon him, until he pays off the consequences of his sin. Then he will come back and be healed. The general principle is that explaining it once, a person has been punished, he's once more like your father came Shalacha, he's your Achicha. And then man will return to the original state he had before he sinned. After that, he'll reach the ultimate level of perfection he was supposed to attain, but never managed to reach. I don't know if that answers your question or not. But for the moment, so we can go on. So we see that Adam was in this middle level. And his actions, because of the level of his being, is that he could have perfected the whole world in that one test. And he would have gone up to this true predestined level which will be Olam Haba, where there will be no evil anymore, not even the possibility to sin. Which the level will eventually reach Olam Haba. But he sinned, and he failed, evil became so much stronger, so he fell and the entire world fell with him, and we have mortality, and the whole world became a mortal world. And our job is to perfect this world and to purify this world and remove evil from this world and from ourselves and to elevate this world back to the level Adam was on and then even up to the level he was supposed to reach. The relationship between these three levels, the RAMCHAL describes it as, we already mentioned, and get your heads around it if you can, that the inner level of our world, the ruchnius of our world, was the external, the gashmius of Gan Eden. So the external world of Gan Eden is the inner level of our world. And the ruchni level of Gan Eden we can't imagine. But it goes like this. The ruchni level of Gan Eden is the gashmi level of the level Adam was supposed to reach. If you think of it, a picture like three circles, in one circle, another one. So the inner part of our circle, our world, our ruchnius, that was the external level, the gashmius of Gan Eden. The ruchni of Gan Eden, which we can't imagine, that would have been and will be the gashmi, the physical, the outside level, the level Adam was supposed to reach, and the inner level we can't even begin to imagine. That's the level Adam would have reached if he hadn't sinned. And that's the level we'll have to reach, but we'll have to go first back to his level and up to the ruchni level. So we have to, that's very clear, these three levels. Adam's level originally, the koach, was a level which will reach in Olam Haba, will reach when the world's perfected, where there's not even the possibility to sin. Adam was lowered from that level, the Rambam was the Hashpala Kaduma, when he was first in existence in Gan Eden. So of all Adam's greatness, that we said that the light of his heel, it dimmed the light of someone, whatever it means, the Malakim with Tovis, the Kodesh, that was still not his true destined level. That was still a lower level than he was supposed to be on. And this level was a volatile level, which could go either way, could go up or down. He sinned, and he came down, he brought himself down, and all of us down to the present level of physicality. So therefore, when we look at the episode of Gan Eden, and we read the Psukim of the Torah, we have to look at it with a new light, not perhaps as we've done before, to begin to get in context what it's talking about. Just talk another 5 minutes or so, then we'll have questions. I don't want to tire people too much, talking too much. With these principles that we've learned of these three levels of Adam, and the fact that, as they say, our world is a world of life and death. Our bodies are like that. Our thoughts are thoughts of physicality. And we're trying to understand higher worlds than that. So we can only understand general principles to understand. At least don't take things as pshuto. Don't think of Gan Eden as one did when I was a child. But there's another major thing we can learn from this. One of the principles of Yiddishkeit is Tchias HaMesim. Anybody who doesn't accept the truth of Tchias HaMesim, but the part of Tchias HaMesim is very misunderstood. Most people will ask you, they'll say that they have questions about Tchias HaMesim. They say, well, how will Tchias HaMesim be? Because when we go back to life, how old will I be? Yeah, and then will I be, I've got a mother, father, grandfather, we wouldn't be different ages, how's it going to work? But such question, because they're thinking of Tchias HaMesim like the episode in Tanakh where the Nevi'im brought people back to life. I hope from Rabbi Shapir that such an opinion is absolute heaven. Because people don't know the Parshas. It's heaven. Because if you think about it, what's Tchias HaMesim? Tchias HaMesim is the process by which man will be recreated at a level where he's no longer subject to death. After Tchias HaMesim, there'll be no death anymore. In other words, the life that comes after Tchias HaMesim will be a life where there will not be death anymore. It'll be the end of the. So, based on what we learned, what sort of reality will there be after Tchias HaMesim? What sort of goof will we have after Tchias HaMesim? Tchias HaMeisim is the process by which we will reach the level of Olam Haba, the level even Adam didn't reach. So therefore, when you're saying how old am I, what am I going to look like, you are using concepts of our world to apply to something that's absolutely nothing to do with that. Tchias HaMeisim has not been brought back to this life. It's been recreated on a level beyond life and death. Not only ourselves, but the entire we will be recreated on a level where there's no life and death. The all reality of existence will be recreated in a world where there's no life and death. And it'll be, as we said, the exterior corresponds to the interior. It'll be a world beyond good and evil. So what sort of world will it be? We can't even begin to imagine. So start asking questions, how old will it? That's based on fundamental misunderstanding. Because Tchias HaMeisim is basically, it's the undoing of the damage that's been done. After Adam sinned, we became subject to evil, and therefore we had to die. And we get two more pratim of it. But at Tchias HaMeisim, the world will be recreated, mankind will be recreated, the world will be created already beyond life and death, already beyond the level of Gan Eden. The whole reality is something we can't even begin to conceive of.
But Chesed will be our goof. Chesed will come back in our same.
So, Chazal said, the Rambam explains that when you die, the Chazal talk about something called the Luzba, yeah? And they talk about something called Hevlei Degama. They also talk about it. Hevlei Degama means the breath of the bones. No destruction is absolute. So even when a person dies, a basic remnant remains. A basic remainder of the physical, which is called the Luzba, and the basic remembrance of the Ruchni, which is called Hevlei Degama, the breath of the bones, which stays around. And when Tchias HaMeisim comes, Hashem will from this remnant, he'll recreate man. But the reason you have to, the Rabbi describes the body has to die is because it's full of the dross and negativity that has no place in an eternal world. Our body has so much negativity in it that it can't be eternal because it's got all the effects of our Avedas, and it's by nature a body of it. So therefore, from the remnants of the physical, from the remnants of the Ruchni, that will be built up again at a higher level of being. We'll be built up at a level where there's no life and death anymore. So therefore, as I say, when skin burns as we have it, we see them, they are things that grow and decay. The essential essence of our lives, of our body, and our ruchnis will be recreated and made on a much higher level, which will be something that is nitzchi. Something that is nitzchi, to come close to Hashem, has got to be purged of anything negative. Not just our neshamas have to be purged, but our gufanias has to be gufanias. The Rambam describes how we'll go through a series of levels until the Gashmi will hardly be distinguished from the Ruchni. It's a famous machlokes between the Rambam and the Ramban on Tchias HaMeisim.